Katie, hello. You're spamming MAGA21 down below in that chat. Why do you happen to support the worst president of your life?
I support him mainly because of his immigration policy. So
Oh, dear
I
God.
work on a. Oh, what?
I said, oh, dear God.
Oh.
Oh.
Um. Oh.
Oh.
Yeah. So. Whoa. Whoa. So I work on a family-owned farm. Quit looking at me like that. What the fuck?
Dude, give us your argument.
Okay. I support that he is making it so people who've worked on farms for like 20 plus years, don't get deported and can have a pathway to citizenship.
He actually already rolled back on that.
Can you give me proof of that?
Yeah, for sure. Go on Google, type in Donald Trump rolls back pause deportations on hospitality workers.
Hold on. And then while I looked it up, the other reason I support him is abortion.
Oh, you're pro-life, just like the last three guests?
I'm pro-life with two exceptions.
Okay, what are your two exceptions?
Rape and health of the mother, not only life of the mother.
Okay, sweet. So then why are you pro-life in all other circumstances?
Because I think there's no reason to unalive innocent babies if the mother can, have them while they're still healthy.
Okay, so you think it's wrong to kill innocent kids. Why?
Wait, real quick, what was the thing you said to look up?
Yeah, Donald Trump rolls back pause on deportations of immigrants who work in hospitality. So now you think it's wrong to kill innocent kids. Why is that?
Because I don't think it's fair to hurt them.
So if it is hurting them, then they can kill them. That would be the antithesis of your claim. So by hurt, do we just mean harm? And if by harm, do we just mean undesirable experience? Well, like pregnancy is going to be an undesirable experience to any woman that gets an abortion.
Well, I know, but the
self-implied.
baby's gonna feel its limbs being ripped off.
Oh, so abortion's wrong because it's going to feel it. Okay, well, no, babies can't feel, quote unquote, until 28 weeks, according to the current consensus amongst neurodoctors
Okay, well they
and
know.
scientists in America.
They still.
Oh, so now you're saying that abortion is wrong because the fetus will know. So that's also not true. So you have to have a conscious experience in order to obtain any knowledge, and that conscious experience doesn't even arise until 20 through 24 weeks, meaning that they can't know before that point, meaning that you're pro-choice in all circumstances before 20 weeks, meaning that you concede your position and you've adopted my position because that's also what I believe in, meaning that you no longer support Trump because that's not what he believes in, and you rather support the Democrats because they uphold Roe v. Wade, in which ensures every single American woman and girl in this country has the legal right to access abortion before that point of viability at 20 through 21 weeks, which you think is a good thing.
Sorry, but I just looked up that thing. It says he lifted the pause.
Right.
So he you said he rolled back
lifted the pause of deportations of undocumented immigrants who work in the sex.
I think it means he put a short pause on his policy.
He lifted the pause. That's what you just said. And the pause was on his policy of mass deportation. He paused that as it related to undocumented immigrants in service sex. Lifting that pause means we're going back to the policy of mass deportation.
Okay, well, I didn't know he did that, but still, I don't...
You just said that he... Okay, go ahead, continue.
So when do you think it's okay to... When's your cutoff line?
Oh, yeah, base, 3 years old.
Huh?
3 years old.
We're talking...
No, just rolling your leg. I think the cutoff is 20 weeks. 20 weeks.
Okay, you actually kind of scared me for a minute. I'm not gonna lie. So what happens at 20 weeks?
Oh, yeah, for sure. The thymocortical connections occur, which would allow the fetus to deploy some low level of consciousness or a sentient experience. And that is what I find to be sufficiently morally valuable to grant them the right to live. Now, before that point, I don't find any good reason to morally value the fetus. I don't find any good reason to give the fetus a right to life, meaning that I don't see any good reason to infringe upon the woman's access to abortion. And when you do infringe upon the woman's access to abortion, you're infringing upon their human right to life right to bodily autonomy, and an infringement upon anybody's human right to bodily autonomy would be a human rights violation in my eyes. So that means that I think any and all abortion bans, which would restrict a woman's access to elective lethal abortions before 20 weeks, is a human rights violation.
So, like a brain dead person, for example, wouldn't be because your thing is like past and present or whatever. What is it?
I mean, just sentience.
Okay, so then is it fine to rip off a brain dead patient's limbs like we would to a fetus?
Yeah, rip them all off.
No,
No,
like
I'm
genuinely.
I'm joking. We should probably just disconnect life support and use the least abrasive means necessary to terminate their life.
So then why are we ripping off babies' limbs?
Because at a certain developmental point, that becomes the least abrasive means necessary.
Pretty sure the pill is least, but
I know, but the pill can only be used until 10 to 14 weeks. So elective lethal abortions
yeah.
received
So after
between
that, if you have to rip the
14 and
limbs
20
off, you
weeks. The
probably
lethal
shouldn't.
abrasive means possible would be the ripping of the limbs.
So if so, you really think if you have to rip the baby's limbs off to get it to be unalived, then that's fine.
Yes, I do, Katie. Yeah. Yeah.
So what if someone came to you if you were in a coma and started ripping off your limbs?
Well, that would be murder because I have a right to life that the fetus doesn't.
What?
Like the equivalent of the question that you just asked me. Are you a meat eater by chance?
Yeah, I told you I work on a cattle farm.
Right. Well, so imagine that you tell me that you don't find anything wrong with killing and draining the blood of a cow and chopping off their
Well,
head
it's
and
not
dissecting
human.
their meat into different
It's not
parts
human.
to eat. And then I turn around and I'm like, oh, so you'd be okay if I killed and dissected you to eat? Like, obviously, that's a false equivalence because you'd say that there's some standard that you have set that grants the right to life to humans but not to a cow. Just like you're making a false equivalence when you say, oh, so Dean, because you think it's okay to rip the limbs off of babies, therefore I could rip your limbs off too. Like, no, it's a false equivalence. I have the right to life. I'm morally valuable. The fetus does not have the right to life. The fetus is not morally valuable. And yeah, I hope that that response is all encompassing.
So then why can't we do it after, let's say, at 25 weeks? You don't think there should be allowed to then?
Bada boom, bada bang. Here's the deal. I agree with what was offered under Roe v. Wade, which was just simply rescinding the legislative ability on elective lethal abortions after 20 through 25 weeks back down to the state level. First and foremost, I've never read an article of that happening. Second
What
of
if someone
all,
wants to get an abortion at like 30 weeks?
well, I was in the middle of giving you my stance on that because 30 weeks would be after 25 weeks, and you interrupted me to just ask the question I was already answering. I have a question. Do you think that Kamala Harris's abortion policy made her pro late term abortion?
I didn't really know what her abortion policy was.
Oh, that's great. That is truly great.
I
But
just saw what she
anyways,
did
yeah,
on
the
the border.
the implication would be that I
border is
would find
amazing.
elective lethal abortions morally wrong after 20 through 25 weeks.
So you said you were going to answer the part that I quote unquote interrupted you on, but you didn't.
You asked me if I think it's wrong after 30 weeks, right?
Yeah?
What did I just say?
You said yeah?
So I did answer your question.
So do you eat meat?
Do I? Yes. What is what? What?
So how is it fine for that but not at 30 weeks?
So why is it?
Didn't I guess
okay-
your three? That's when cows get slaughtered at 3. So I guess your 3-year-old stance is true.
So are you asking me why I think it's okay to kill a cow, but not okay to like kill you or me or a fetus at 30 weeks?
Yeah,
Didn't you say that you kill cows
yeah, but I don't kill babies.
and that you don't think it's okay to kill a fetus at any point?
A baby.
So see how we hold the same stance.
You no, because you think it's okay to kill babies.
So I think it's okay to kill a fetus before a particular point.
You don't have to say fetus because it's still a baby.
Okay. I'm kind of okay with letting you call it whatever you want to. Like if you want to say it's killing babies, W, okay, and
What? No way.
oh yeah, do the manufactured rage and freak out. I don't care. Okay, I'm here to debate the logical boundaries of the pro-life position and how
Okay,
they hold
well then-
consistency compared to the pro-choice position. I don't care what you call it, okay? Like I know like a bunch of people say, "No, you can't call it a baby, it's a fetus." Okay, they're right. Okay,
No,
but
they're-
I don't give a fuck. Call it a baby. Who like? Yeah, sure. Let's go kill babies, everybody. Let's go
What the
recreationally rip their limbs off, guys. And you still can't point out a single issue in my view.
that you're. Hold on.
You still can't point out a single issue in my view. It's logically
Because
consistent.
you yelling,
and
let's
it
go
tells
kill all the
least-
babies and rip their limbs off is kind of catching me off guard. So
I guess we're not hearing a logical contradiction here. But no, you said that they're all babies, right? Okay, now we'll give some pushback to that claim. So a fetus is a baby. When does it become a baby?
at conception. But I am fine with copper IUDs.
Okay, well, we'll actually talk about the IUD thing because that kills babies under your view.
I know. I'll actually talk about that with
But
you.
I just want to clarify. I just want to clarify. One moment. Just give me a moment, everybody. That'd be great if you could just please give me a moment. Here we go. Everybody be patient while I'm pulling this up. In the meantime, guys, make sure that we're double tapping away on that phone screen. Y'all already know. So I just want to be clear. You think that is a baby?
It's the start of a baby.
Girl, this is bacteria that grows on your teeth. Do you typically mistake the bacteria in your teeth plaque for babies?
Well, you told me it was a baby.
No, I asked you if it was a baby. No, but seriously, answer my question. Like whenever like you brush your teeth and you kill like the bacteria plaque on your teeth, do you ever like mistakenly freak out and you're like, oh, I just accidentally killed trillions of babies? But then you're like, oh wait, no, I thought they're not actually babies, guys, because that's what you just did to that bacteria cell. So do you do that often? Do you typically mistake your teeth plaque for children?
No, see, that's like your debate tactic is to lie to people, get them to
lie. I didn't lie. What did I lie about?
If we're talking about what you think a baby is, and then you pull out a picture of fucking bacteria, like you can admit that's not a good faith. If we're trying to have a good faith debate, you can at least admit that.
It is actually a good faith point that furthers our dialogue because it shows the absurdity in considering a zygote to be a baby. Because now you did literally mistake the bacteria that grows on your teeth plaque as babies.
Baby bacteria. I never said it was a baby human.
So you don't think that a fetus? Okay, well, A, baby bacteria that doesn't exist. B, the way
Yeah,
in which
baby
you're
new.
using baby refers to like. Okay, so then why did you freak out when I said it's okay to kill babies? If the obvious implication from your perspective was that we weren't specifying humans.
Because bacteria doesn't have limbs. You said it's fine to rip off the limbs.
Actually, there is unicellular bacteria, forms of bacteria that can have limb-like structures. Formed out of their
Limb-like,
cell
not
organelle.
limbs.
What do you take a limb to be?
An arm or a leg.
Okay, how did you know that that's what I meant when I said limb?
Because that's what a limb is.
Oh, okay. So you're superimposing your definition of what a limb is onto what I said.
I can give you the exact
So the same way
definition.
I could superimpose the assumption that when you call a fetus a baby or when you call a zygote a baby, you're calling them a baby human. So see how I could be disingenuous just like you? See how I could pull the whole, how did you know how I was defining the term just like you did? And
See,
then
the
see how like
definition
you
of
could
a
turn around
limb
and
is an
superimpose
arm or
what the
leg
common
of a
usage of the
person.
term would be, right? Right, in the same way I then turned around and superimposed the common definition of what that term would be when you say baby. So how about this? Do you have any actual argument here, Katie? Because right now you're failing. You're failing terribly, tremendously.
Okay, well, we're not going to agree on abortion. We can talk about the border, because that's one I feel strongly
Did
about.
you even give me a stance on abortion? What's your pro-life stance? Why is abortion wrong?
Because I don't think it's fine to kill innocent babies if the mother can have a healthy pregnancy, unless there's medical complications or rape.
Okay, so is your stance just it's wrong to kill innocent humans that are alive?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's wrong to pull the plug on brain dead patients?
Not if it's in their will, no.
Okay, all right. What if they don't have a will?
Then it should be up to the spouse because that's a legal thing.
Okay, so if it should be up to the spouse to kill an innocent human if it's a brain dead patient, why shouldn't it be up to the mother to kill an innocent human if it's a fetus?
Because it has life ahead of it, a brain dead patient doesn't.
Okay, so then your stance isn't. Well, actually, let's clarify. What do you mean by life ahead of it?
A brain dead patient has no chance of survival and being able to have cognitive function after they are declared brain dead.
Okay, so you don't value innocent human life. You value future cognitive function?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're basically saying that cognitive function equals right to life because a fetus will have this in the future. Its future. We should
Yes.
just extend it the right to life now.
Yeah, if you have it now or in the future.
I have a big issue with that logic.
Why?
Okay, well, you know the way that you said consciousness equals right to life, because a fetus has consciousness in the future, we should just extend them that right now. Being 18 equals the right to consent to sex because a fetus will be 18 because a 10-year-old will be 18 in the future. We should just extend the 10-year-old the right to consent to sex now. Okay, well, obviously that's insane.
Because
right?
there's
don't
different things. We're
equivocate.
talking about cognitive function, not consent.
But still, yet the logical parameters of the argument that you're setting forth is basically treating the potentiality for a trait that grants the right.
But that's the same thing as you
actually possessing the trait that grants
That's the same
right,
thing as you saying,
and the
I think it's
logical
okay to eat a
absurdity
cow.
without it being.
That's the same thing as you saying, I think it's okay to eat a cow, so I think it's okay to eat a dog. You're taking two things that don't correlate to each other.
So the correlation is in the logical underpinning of the position.
Cognitive function.
The logical underpinning of your position is that if a trait grants a right, if you have the ability to have that trait in your future, you should be granted the right now.
Yeah, also, I don't think...
But if that's not your position and it's just about cognitive function, well, then how come you special plea in the case of cognitive function, but not in any other circumstance? It sounds like
Okay,
you're just
wait, no, because your other
illogically special pleading.
circumstance I disagree with, because I do think you
that's a
shouldn't
logical
return to rape
contradiction.
if you have sex as a teen.
Well, that's a logical contradiction because we're
No.
upholding the same we're upholding the same logical principle. The logical principle is that if a trait grants a right, if you have the ability to have that trait in the future, you should be granted the right now. That's what you said about a fetus as it relates to cognitive function.
I said, or like present.
Okay, does a fetus have cognitive function?
Yes.
That gives them the ability. Oh, so you just value any level of any cognitive function?
Yeah, I can actually give you a source for that. They do have cognitive function.
Yeah, no, they have alpha and theta brainwaves that start to develop at 8 weeks.
Yeah, so that's cognitive function.
Cows also have that. So do chickens and pigs.
We're talking about humans.
Oh, okay.
Cow abortion is a whole different topic. I don't know. Actually, I don't agree with cows getting abortions either.
Okay, then also, so A, you have a big issue with your stance here because a 3-year-old pig
have an issue with my
has more
stance.
cognitive function than a fetus at 8 weeks, as well as you're still suggesting a cutoff, right? You were saying that
Is this a vegan debate live or what? Because
okay, so you're basically saying that I can't show you any logical issues in your position
no,
whatsoever.
but if you can't separate the
because you're
difference between a
Katie
human
and you're
life and a cow
stupid,
life,
and then okay, so you're basically just
you're gonna
saying,
get banned for hate speech again. Like genuinely,
oh, I'm sorry. Did I hate speech you, Katie?
you called me stupid.
I did.
Okay, whatever. I can give you a source that babies have cognitive function
Okay, so why do you find any cognitive function valuable?
because they know what's happening.
Okay, that's not true.
Yeah, babies do know what's happening at 8 weeks.
No.
I'll give you a source for that.
You can't. A source
Yes,
for
I
that
can.
doesn't exist because what's a prerequisite towards the self-acknowledgement of external knowledge? Consciousness. Okay? So in other words, consciousness would be a prerequisite to quote-unquote know what's happening. However, they don't gain the ability to deploy
Yeah, here,
consciousness until
centers,
23,
the
24 weeks.
CDC.gov says it,
Says what?
that they have cognitive function at 8 weeks.
Okay, that's not the part that I disagreed with. The part that I disagreed with was that
And that
low-
they can understand where they are at 8 weeks.
Okay, the CDC doesn't say that.
Yes, look it up.
What do you mean by understand?
Look it up. It says CDC, the title is important milestones, your baby by 2 months.
What do you mean by understand?
Like they know where they are, they know
Okay, so when you say, what do you mean by know?
they can comprehend it.
What do you mean by comprehend?
They know. Like, do you not know what comprehend means? Holy fuck.
Well, I mean, I don't think
No,
you
I'm
do.
I'm giving you
because
the source. Look it up.
when I hear words such as know or comprehend, the first thing that comes to mind is a self-acknowledgement of reality. Would you say that would be fair? Like, if you know
No.
something, that's a self-acknowledgement.
So I am giving you a source from the CDC. It's a .gov. If you're disagreeing with a .gov,
Okay, Katie, I don't know if we'll even be able to have this debate because you just simply can't follow.
Here, what I'll read you it. What most babies do by this age: social and emotional. Hold on.
That's after birth, you silly goose.
I just hold on.
That is
I got
after birth,
answers.
you silly fucking goose. That is after birth. That is oh my god, Katie. You just said by what age? Okay. Yeah. So age starts when you're born in the colloquial sense in the way in which we use the term. Okay? I say that I'm age 20 because 20 years ago I was born. I don't
There
say
is there
that I'm
is
age
no
20
evidence
because
proving
20
that
years
babies
ago
don't
I
know
was
or
conceived.
aren't consciously aware. Hold on. At 8 weeks, a fetus's brain and nervous system are developing rapidly. There is no evidence that can 100% prove that they are not consciously aware of what's happening around them.
Okay, just like there's no evidence that can 100% prove that you're not just a brain in a vat, and there's no evidence that can 100% prove that
Yeah, you
unicellular
can tell.
organisms are also conscious. So what you're talking about is going to be philosophical skepticism. Okay, so philosophical skepticism is the idea that we cannot possess 100% certainty in any fact of reality outside of a few, right? Like apart from like I think therefore I am. That's Descartes. But anyways, so a very easy response to philosophical skepticism, because we can't possess 100% certainty of nearly any given fact, would basically be the idea that it's significantly more likely than not. Right? So when I make the claim that consciousness would emerge at around 20 through 24 weeks, that's because it's significantly more likely than not to emerge at that point. And this claim is only further demonstrated via the track record of how neuroscientists have pushed that can further and further and further down the road, the more that we've learned more about the human brain and the way in which it develops and the way in which it functions. So back in the 80s, the common neuroscientific consensus was that the ability to develop and deploy any level of consciousness arose at around 7 to 8 weeks, as you're pointing out. In the 90s, 12 weeks. At later 90s, 15, early 2000s, that's when we started to see the now common consensus of 20 through 25 weeks emerge. So you are right. We don't have 100% certainty in that fact, but because it's significantly more likely than not, it is obviously the only conclusion in which we could yield rationally, okay? Because to hold to a conclusion outside of that would be meaning that you believe that consciousness is less likely than not to occur at this point, yet you still do believe that it occurs at this point, and that is irrational to do.
Okay, so we're not going to agree on abortion. Do you want to talk about the big beautiful bill?
Why do you disagree with what I just said? All I just said is that we
Because
don't have
I
to have
value
100%
fetus life and
certainty.
you don't. That's not something we're
you're
going to
not
be able to
responding.
agree on.
We're not. You're not. You're saying that you can't hold my stance because you can't possess 100% certainty that it's true, right?
Yeah.
Ma'am, is it logically possible that I'm AI?
What do you like logically? I mean, there's not 100% certainty you're not.
Okay. So does that mean that you cannot hold or claim the knowledge that Dean Withers is a real person?
Well, I couldn't ever say 100%.
Okay. Well, I didn't ask you if you could say 100%. It'd be logically implied that you couldn't. Now, is it still justified for you to claim knowledge of the fact that Dean Withers is a real person?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
So now you're walking yourself into your own skepticism. You're biting the bullet, and now you're saying unless you have 100% certainty of something,
Are you
can't
saying
know
you're
it.
AI or
So then what you'd say here is you don't know if I'm real. Okay, that's absurd. Let me ask you a question. Is it logically possible that you're a brain in a vat being controlled by a computer, and reality as you experience it is merely just stimulation through electrical currents in this brain in the vat?
No.
It is logically possible.
No, because I
How's that
there was a
logically
video of my
impossible?
birth. There was a video of my birth.
Wait, how is it logically possible that the video of your birth is fake?
No.
It's not logically possible that a video is fake?
There's
What do you-
three,
wait,
there's three angles of it, and I have a birth certificate.
Is it logically possible that all three angles of your birth are fake?
No,
How?
because I have a birth certificate.
Is it logically possible that all three videos of your birth and your birth certificate are fake?
No,
How?
because because my mom gave birth to me.
Okay. Is it logically possible that your mom did not give birth to you?
No,
How?
because I came out of her.
Is it logically possible that you didn't come out of her?
No, because there's
How?
a video of it.
What? So now we're going into the circle. Is it logically possible that the
AI
video
wasn't around at that time.
is it logically possible that AI
AI
was around
wasn't
at that
around.
point? You just didn't
Not
know
in
about it.
2004. You couldn't make a complete fake video.
Is it logically possible that AI was around at that point? You just didn't know about it.
No,
How?
because it wasn't.
How? How do you know that? How do you know with 100% certain knowledge that it was not around? See, you don't. You don't.
I do.
You could only say it's
I know my birth
significantly
is
more
real.
likely
You're
than not.
literally, you're like trying to
You
gaslight
could-
me.
you could
into
only
thinking
say-
I'm-
you could
you're
only
trying
say-
to gaslight me
you-
into thinking I'm a brain.
You could only say that it's significantly more likely than not that AI required to manipulate videos was not around in 2004. You cannot say that with 100% certainty that it did not exist. So, in other words, the culmination of
I'm
the
not
line of
AI.
logic that I'm running on you.
I know I'm not AI, so I can say that I'm 100% not.
You don't. Actually, you can't claim 100% certain of that fact. Is
Yeah,
it
'cause
logic?
I
Is
can
it
move
logically
my
possible
toes.
that you're an AI model created by scientists 1,000 years from now to function inside of a virtual reality imposed on the proposition that you don't know you're AI? Is that logically possible?
No, because I can move my toes.
You'd
and
be
my
able to move.
fingers.
You'd be able to move your toes and fingers in this virtual
Not if
reality.
I was a computer.
In this virtual reality that you'd be operating in, yes, you would.
You are like going so off topic.
This is perfectly on topic. The reason why this is
I
perfect.
am not AI.
The reason why this is
I
perfectly.
can't speak for you, but I can 100% say I'm not.
The reason why this is perfectly on topic is because you don't possess 100%.
Can you move all 9 of your toes?
Okay, Katie, I'm trying to explain to you philosophy.
I can
101.
move all 9 of my toes, so I know I'm not AI.
Okay, Katie. So the implication here is that if you were AI, you would be able to move your toes within this virtual reality. Okay, and keep in mind, all that I'm saying here is that skepticism, right, saying that you must possess 100% knowledge of any certain thing, right, fails because there's so many things that we accept without possessing 100% knowledge of it, right? Because we don't need to have 100% certainty in something to believe it to be true, right? A good example of this would be the fact that we believe that we are real humans that don't live in a virtual reality. It is logically possible that we only live in a virtual reality. It is logically possible that nobody else alive is real and they're just AI models or a creation of the culmination of your own mind. Meaning,
Why is everyone commenting 9?
Okay, Katie, why are you not listening to me while I'm giving?
I am.
If you
Well,
were,
it just said like 400.
Katie, fuck
comments.
you, leave. I'm not even joking. I'm trying to explain to you the very basics of like philosophy of mind and particularly philosophical skepticism, and you are just not even listening to me. You've interrupted me a billion times to say completely irrelevant shit. Leave. I'm not even joking. Leave. I'm sorry, bro. I'm not doing this shit today. Why am I talking to the most dense guests ever that are just so incredibly disrespectful towards productivity and discovery of truth? And the moment that I'm able to prove you wrong, and I'm honestly really nice about it, and I just demonstrate to you why it is the case that you are incorrect. Like all of a
Okay, I
sudden you
concede
just
on your abortion
get off
topic.
of tour. You start talking about random shit. You don't listen to me and you interrupt me. It's honestly like it's so goddamn annoying. Like I'm
I
just trying
concede
to
on your
explain to
abortion
you
topic.
very simply of the very simple concept of philosophical skepticism and how we don't need to possess 100% certainty of something in order to believe in it.
Okay, I concede on your abortion stance. I'm not enough educated on that. I'm enough educated on the big beautiful bill.
Okay, feel free to move on. Why do you support Trump?
The big beautiful bill.
Okay, why do you like the BBB?
Because look, I'm sorry I interrupted you, but I want to try to have a productive conversation.
I don't believe you. But why do you support the BBB?
Because I think that it's good to have more taxes coming so we can fund other things like the police, the roads, the government, teachers.
So you think that the big beautiful bill is going to raise more money for our government to spend elsewhere?
Well, it's taxing you. Where do you think the taxes go?
Into paying for the bill, right? Because it's estimated to cost between $4 and $5 trillion. Any additional government revenue generated from the bill will just go back into paying for the debt that the bill generated.
But it's also giving tax cuts.
I know, and that's what's generating the debt.
Yeah, so why would I not like that if I'm gonna get a big tax cut?
So you're not going to get a big tax cut. The the CBPP would indicate to us that 80% of Americans will actually see an increase in their taxes and will have an effectively lower after-tax
I'm in
income.
the top 20. I'm going to get a tax cut.
Okay, so you're fine with reaping an additional $500 per year at the expense of the bottom 20% of income earners in this
It's not going to
country
be a
versus 2200.
$500 if it's costing trillions.
So yeah, on average for the average member of the top 20%, it is the case that they will only reap an additional $500 per year on the backs of the bottom 80% of income earners losing money. And honestly, I don't believe you. How much money do you make per year?
I make, it depends on the year because it's farming.
Okay, so what about last year?
Last year, are you just talking in total with all like the farming stuff?
I'm asking you how much money you made.
Yeah, the payout for me was 600,000.
I don't believe you.
No, it's through potatoes, cattle, everything. It depends, but some years can be 20,000.
I don't believe that you made $600,000 last year. How much?
You can actually look up our company and you can see.
How much did you pay in taxes last year?
Ooh, last year just my personal tax income or taxes on all the farm stuff we sold.
How much did you pay in taxes?
Last year, I'm pretty sure it was in like 130. I can actually look it up.
130? Yeah, you would have paid over $200 to $300,000 in taxes last year if you made 600,000.
No, because it wasn't in one individual pay stump for the year because it's coming from 3 different businesses. I didn't have to pay that much. I can pull up my tax thing and read you the exact number.
No, I just know that you're lying. Okay, I'll explain it. So like the effective tax rate for somebody that nets $600,000 in a year will be close to 40%. Okay, right.
So not all of it's coming out of that tax part too, because part of it is from selling horses, cows. Some of those are private buyers, and we're not getting taxed that 40% as an income because we're just getting money.
If you collected $600,000 in income last year, you would have paid taxes on all 600,000, unless you committed tax fraud.
It's not tax fraud if it's a private sell. If I sell someone a horse, I don't have to include that in my 600,000. I pay taxes on that.
Yo, hey, bro. If anybody wants, if anybody wants to, go to irs.gov and report Katie over here, feel free. Because that is tax fraud, yeah.
No, I paid taxes already on the horses that we sold. They were through different things. I didn't claim them as my income because it wasn't. I claimed it as a private sell. So I paid taxes. So let's say I sold my horse for 40,000. I only got to keep 30,000 of that.
You privately selling a horse, the money that you would then receive will be claimed income. Well, okay, you definitely didn't make $600,000 last year if I'm having to explain to you the very basics of American tax code. Anybody that's going to be in that top 1% will, at the bare minimum, know the basics of the American tax code. If you don't even know how claimed income works, then you have no fucking clue. Like, you definitely did not make $600,000.
Give me 2 minutes to pull up my tax thing because I don't do my own taxes. So
you don't do your own taxes. You don't need to do your own taxes to know how much you pay in taxes and what your claimed income is. Anybody in the top 1%, regardless if they have an accountant or not, will know precisely
it's around
how much
600
claimed
and it's
income
around
they had last
130
year.
that I got taxed.
Okay. All right. Well, Katie, you're lying to us, and the reason that I know that you're lying to us is because anybody that's going to be in the top 1% will know these figures. What is more likely to be the case is that is a person saying that they made what their parents made. So there you go, everybody. That's the truth. That she was saying that she made what her parents made.